So, Jeffrey, in a nutshell, what is your book about?
It's about taking a whole new perspective on the nature of the soul. Typically, when people go looking into spirituality and the soul in particular, they go seeking their answers in ancient texts and what ancient religions have to say, as if the past had any better connection to the transcendent than what we could have today. But if the soul is eternal, then that means it's accessible from any moment in time. So why should we, my perspective is why go look through a lens in the past that can only reflect what the past thought about such matters? Because in doing that, you run the risk of the cultural context and limits and prejudices that existed at that time. I mean, yes, they may have had some insight, but you run risks of being painting the soul inside of a box because of the time period that they were existing in and what they knew about the nature of consciousness at the time. So in looking backward to the past, you may actually get a more erroneous view of the soul than what we could come up with today. So I decided to really take a new modern look at what the soul means. I completely left all that ancient stuff behind and really went looking for what I could find in the now moment, in today's time. So I went looking both metaphysically and scientifically and came up with an incredible view that is completely knocks the old world's view out of the park. It's gone. And so now I've come up with a whole new view on the nature of your being, of our being. And it's actually quite humbling and amazing, and it's mind-blowing.
So, how do you go about studying the soul in a modern context?
By studying modern experiences. We have well over 130 years of research in psychology and behavioral sciences, etc., that really show the dynamic abilities of the mind and consciousness and spirit to be able to form reality. I mean, really impact reality. When you start factoring in the decades worth of research in the noetic sciences dealing with placebos, random number generators, ESP, and controversially mediumship and ghost research, and then you tack that on top of what we're learning through quantum physics and the power of the observer, it really begins to paint a dynamic picture of the soul that is far greater than what the ancients could have ever thought of.
So, you've done somewhat of a synthesis of various scientific and parapsychological work in order to re-examine the attributes of each reader's soul?
Yes, absolutely. And we are a well of creativity. I mean, there's been tons of research done, probably over 100 years worth of research done in telepathy to show that yes, we do have the ability to communicate beyond the mind. And these are scientific tests. This is not pseudo-scientific like the skeptics would like to have you believe. There's been rigorous controls. We also have well over 40 years of tests in the ability of proving that we can see beyond the body, remote viewing, which has highly been endorsed by the government in many countries, and in our own government there are still documents classified. So we know this is a fact, this is a phenomenon. We also have many studies that show that we do have the ability to perceive beyond time. We can actually see into the future as well as have, oddly enough, impact and resonance in the past. Okay? The implications of this are amazing. I mean, if we were to become more conscious of all these factors in our lives, how would that better improve ourselves individually and in mass society? I mean, it really shows that we are magical.
So, how does your work as a medium and ghost researcher fit into all of this?
Well, I've been a medium for 11 years now, and I can't tell you how many people on the other side I've connected with. I'm also a two-term president of the Washington State Ghost Society, and I've seen and heard things. For instance, I've heard voices recorded on video and audio speaking in complete sentences. That's just incredible. And I've been witness to physical events, pushing and shoving.
I see what happens.
And then you start factoring all that stuff in with what science has been telling us, like what I've talked about earlier. you begin to realize it reveals that we are far much more than what we have ever been told. We are immortal and eternal, that we can exist in different states of being and affect the physical fabric of reality.
So, how does the book break all of this down?
Well, the book breaks all this down by first giving a little bit of background on myself. I expose my work as a medium and ghost researcher, and then how that gave me a different perspective on the nature of reality and the soul. And then I jump into what scientists in the field of consciousness research and parapsychology have been doing over the last 130 years, and then assimilating that with my own perspective from being a medium and ghost investigator. And then that starts to inform you, and I take this information into the next level of how our energy actually impacts and informs reality. You know, that we do exist outside time and space, and how that fits in the context of our daily lives. Not just individually, but also in terms of mass events, how each one of us contributes into that, along with bodily health, and then obviously since we're dealing with the soul, what happens to the soul after death. So I talk about things that have been found when it comes to near-death experiences. There's been a lot of research done in that, along with my work as a medium and with what other mediums have discovered, as well as the ghost research. And then I contrast that with everything that we've been taught from ancient texts and religions, and come up with, really what is a modern view of the soul.
So, what is your ultimate outcome based on the research? What does the book really speak to?
Well, it speaks to the fact that we are the ultimate creators of our lives and our destiny. And the point in writing this book was to demonstrate how we do that, whether we're conscious of the process or not. We know nowadays that our consciousness is quantum in nature, that it affects quantum particles. The fact may be that we even go beyond quantum reality. We don't know. But one thing that, in putting all this together, I've discovered that, we are always in a process of evolution, and we have evolved in all the areas of our specieshood, in technology, in psychology, biology. About the only place we haven't evolved yet is spiritually, and we really need to start moving in that direction. And I think one of the reasons why spirituality is so slow in changing is because we are always looking to the past for what the past thought. But you got to keep in mind, it took somebody way back then getting in their present moment to define what their connection to the transcendent was at that time. Well, guess what? The soul is eternal. It is not bound by time and space, so that means we can do that now and gain just as valid a connection as that person did thousands of years ago. And then you want to take that, tack on everything that we have learned, and that reveals that we do have a magical soul. What we've learned from the present is awesome in comparison to what they knew from the past. Our souls are eternal, and we can experience that eternity right now and open the doors to our own personal and collective enlightenment, here and now, without the trappings, prejudices, or limitations of ancient cultural biases and thinking. That's what my goal is with writing this book.
Thank you.